What's up guys, my name is Vasu and today I'm gonna give you a quick and painless guide on how to get your own cloud storage for photos. One that actually rivals the big tech giants. And by the way, if you like this hyperlink config and wanna rise up your own config, do let me know in the comments, I might make a separate video on it. But for now, let's talk about cloud techs. Right now I'm sitting at around 120 GB storage. To keep this scaling, I'm being forced into the higher tier storage, which will cost me around 2000 rupees per month or around 20,000 rupees per annum. That is a recurring tax just to rent space for memories I already own. And if I stop paying, I get locked out. Today we are erecting the cloud. Today we are deploying Immich. It achieves actual feature parity with the commercial giants. We get a native mobile app, on-device machine learning for face detection and a timeline engine. It just works and it keeps your data on your own metal. To get started, let's open up the Firefox. Now we'll go to our IP. Alright, here you can see we don't have any container, so we'll be leveraging the community scripts to install the container. We are using a container rather than the full VM because we want it to be lighter on the resources, which counts whether you are running a laptop or a dedicated server. But rule number 1 of homelab, never curl bash a script you haven't read. I always take a second to skim the source and check for anything suspicious. Weird external calls, data exfiltration, but this looks like clean code, so let's just copy the link. And press enter. Let's move this to another workspace. Once installed, want it to unprivileged, automatic login, yes. Let the container ID be 100, hostname default. We'll allocate 4 CPUs. Let's allocate 8 GB of memory. So I like to give it a static IP, same as my container ID, which would be 100. We don't want IPv6 default. Let's keep these values default. Let's disable the root access. We don't want views. Yeah, and just keep the default values. The configuration looks good to me, so I'll go ahead and press enter, update the defaults. Now we're waiting for this to complete. I'll see you when it's done. So let's just copy this URL. So we can see Immich is installed, and let's get this set up. So we'll just go ahead and keep the defaults. Now let's go to the administration tab. Stats, we can see that we don't have any photos. Now at this point you technically have a fully functional Immich instance. If you just want to test the app, or if you have a small library that fits your local disk, you can stop right here. But for us, this local storage is a ticking time bomb. We aren't building a toy, we are building a permanent home for our memories. So next up, we are doing the senior architect move. We are going to split the brain from the body, keeping the database on the fast local NVMe, but moving the heavy data to external storage. I'll be using my NAS, but you can absolutely do this with a USB hard drive plugged directly into your node. The concept is identical. Just be careful with your mount options. Permissions can be a headache with direct drives, and I've added a dedicated section in the README. So check that out if you're going direct drive route. Here we can see that we have 20 GB of storage. So let's jump to a true NAS, and first we'll create the dataset so that we have something to mount to. Let's name it codeunbound and save. We have the dataset. Now we'll create the SMB share for it, provide the permission so that we can access this. So I'll keep the user as codeunbound, and I'll give the group as family. I'll also give the family write permissions required, and we'll apply these permissions recursively. Save. One last thing, we don't want to give 5 TB of storage to our dataset, so let's just go to space management, click on edit, and we'll give it around, let's give it 100 GB. This looks good to me. Let's just check the permissions once more. Codeunbound has read-write access, and so does my family. Let's log into the Tmux, SSH into the Proxmox node. Guide in parallel. Alright, so we have already done the LXC deployment. Now it's time for the storage architecture. So for this homelab, we'll decouple the architecture. This means our Proxmox node will be on compute, whereas TrueNAS will handle all the storage. This also gives us the peace of mind that our storage, our photos are backed up, and if the hard disk fails, we don't lose our data immediately. Right, so let's just copy the credentials and we'll paste it. So let's type our super secret password. No. Yes. Now we'll mount this NAS to Proxmox. Here, keep in mind that we have unprivileged container, so the container will have root ID as 0, whereas our host will not see it as 0. Now, typing that long mount command manually would be error prone, so to make it production ready, I have written the script. It basically creates or updates the systemd service called mount-tang-codeunbound, and this directly integrates into our OS boot process, so it comes up every time a host boots up. So let's just copy the script. We'll check the mount path and the IP. Both of them look correct to me, so let's go ahead and run the script. Here we can see that the mount is successfully done. To verify whether our host has right permissions or not, create a file we are able to create a new file. We do have permissions. This wraps up our mounting process to the host. Now we'll bind this mount to the LXC. So we'll take our container, which is 100, we'll copy and run it, and we'll mount the mount path in the host to this mount path in the container. Press O for next line, and that's it. Now we'll reboot our container. Also, just to verify whether it's done or not, we'll go to Proxmox local, and in the resources we can see that a new mount point is present. So let's go back to our shell and go to the data migration. Now the storage is connected, but we still have a problem. Our existing Immich data is still on the local machine, so that is the root FS of the LXC container. We need to move it to the NAS without breaking the database. To do this, we need to do a couple of steps. There's a good thread on the Proxmox discussions, but it's a little convoluted. This is the most updated version of the same. I will link the original discussion in the description below. To get back to the script, it immediately stops the Immich web and the ML services. We don't want to move the database while it's still running. It will move all the copies, that is existing photos, to the NAS. Then it deletes all the old upload folders, replaces them with the symlinks pointing to our NAS. This is the trick that gets it thinking that the files are still in the same place. Then it will run a recursive change owner command, and that's it. One script to do all that work. So let's just go ahead and copy these commands and run it. Okay, we do need to enter. It is complaining that the directory we are trying to move to does not exist. So let's just go ahead and create the directory. It has successfully changed the upload directory. So let's go ahead and verify. We go to Immich and refresh. We should see 100 GB of storage. Let's also upload photos to verify that it actually works or not. Yep, it has successfully uploaded the photo. So that's the architecture. We have automated the connection with systemd. We have migrated the data. Our storage is now fully decoupled. In the next part, we are going to start spinning up the actual services such as Jellyfin, ARR Stack, Dashboard that ties it all up together. I have uploaded the scripts we used today, the mount automation and the Immich migration tool to the GitHub repo linked in the description. If you found this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe. I am Vasu. This is Code Unbound. And as always, here's the obligatory new fetch. I'll see you in the next one.